What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And soon we're unboxing and setting up the Home Depot 2022 15-foot towering Phantom. Now this is just a time lapse because I didn't really feel like doing anything else. I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully next year I'll actually do some more. So I ended up getting Werewolf earlier in the year too, and it went terribly wrong. So you probably saw him in the Haunt video if you watched the Haunt video. If not, go check that out. But he came first, right arm, the screw was stripped to put it in. So I ended up recording an unboxing, and I was like, okay, whatever. So I ended up setting him the rest up like a week later when SVI couldn't help me get the arm, which, by the way, the customer service with that was horrible. So I ended up going to a store and ended up getting the piece that we needed, which was cool. And then we were at the Capitals home opener game, and I got an email saying, oh yeah, that part shipped that you wanted like a month ago that we never gave you. So now we have an extra werewolf arm. But yeah, Phantom is absolutely massive. His proportions are huge. He actually fell too after I set him up, which is great. He didn't break, thankfully. He landed on a tent that we had out from Halloween still. So that happened. But yeah, I'm very glad about that. But his setup took me about an hour, I'd say, by myself. Maybe a little more. Maybe hour and a half. Which isn't bad because it says it takes an hour for 2 adults, and I'm no adult. I am just a child. So yeah, base is in 2 pieces. You just put them together. He has a lot of poles. That's the one thing I noticed. He's very poley. But yeah. Also, actually, I'll talk about it later. Never mind, because it doesn't matter for a minute here. But yeah, these poles were weird because there's like 8 of those like SVI supports, but they aren't connected to the base. They're their own pieces, so you have to use those cotter pins, and they're so annoying to put in. It took me so long to do those by themselves. But overall, the setup wasn't terrible. I mean, I could do it by myself. The only thing I needed help with was actually lifting him up from being on his back because I'm not 15 feet tall and I can't reach that high. Plus the fact that he's 80 pounds, it just isn't happening. Although I did do Werewolf by myself when we had him basically fully set up. I don't know how I did that, considering he weighs more, but so yeah, so there you see these supports. I ended up, I think it was here, I was like screwing it up and didn't realize that I had the wrong pole or something, because there's like 3 different sizes. One of them was really small, so I was mistaking that. But there were 2 different sizes, and it was kind of weird. Yeah, that was where it was, because I was trying to go across, and it didn't go across. The whole thing was weird. But yeah, the only thing that what I like about Spirit's instructions more than Home Depot's is how much more descriptive they are. That's what Spirit, I think, wins in. I don't have a Party City prop, so I can't. Actually, I do, but it's Morris. But Home Depot's instructions are not helpful. I mean, the images are nice, but I like the written instructions with the images. That is what is so good about Spirits. But yeah, you can still see I'm still working on the bottom poles. This video is 10 minutes, and we're 3.5 in. Although I did cut out the clothes because I was like, oh, this is going to take me too long. First piece was easy. Second piece was like 30 minutes by itself, and I still couldn't get it. It's so much clothing and so much little understanding because it doesn't describe anything. It's just like, oh yeah, this part Velcro's here. It shows images of where Velcro's, but that doesn't help you when there's like 98 pieces of Velcro. Also, his hood did fall off. So that was cool. The Velcro on it just came off his head, which I gotta fix that. Although we don't have Velcro, I don't think, right now. So I'll have to wait for next year, I guess. Unless I'm like, oh yeah, I should go get Velcro for whatever reason. I don't know why I'd think that. But yeah. So yeah, it wasn't too bad of a setup. It's just very time consuming. None of the steps are hard, except for the clothing. But the clothing's just, I expected that to be an issue. Although it is 2 different pieces, which is kind of weird to see. I wish it was one. For one reason, I wish that they did it differently to where it was all one piece, and you just put it on, over, and then it, like, just automatically connects to everything better. Because the way that it connects, it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, so this is the part where I had an issue. It's always something with these darn props. Out of the 3 that I got this year, from July to November, all 3 of them came with an issue. Caretaker Shovel, Werewolf's arm, and he was missing a bolt. I don't know how. It's welded to the poles, but it just wasn't there. So, that was great. There wasn't really... It doesn't create an issue, though. It's still gonna work. It's still gonna function fine. It's just... It is one little... Like, those little metal poles that I'm doing right there. One of them is just... Bolt's not there. So... There's just a hole and there's no bolt. Which, that's a weird one, considering it is welded to the piece. The fact that it wasn't there is confusing. But yeah, now he's down. This part I was doing the wrong thing. I forgot there was another set of poles. Which is embarrassing. Yeah, this was fun. But yeah, again, it's a lot of poles. And the one thing that I will say is if you're... I don't think anybody... If he returns next year, I guess... Be careful of the weight of his shoulders. Because this didn't happen to me, but you might be able to see it happen in the video. When I put on the shoulders, the whole thing bent. Like, not like bad bend. It wasn't like it broke. Oh no, there was where the bolt is. It's on that set of poles. Yeah, you can see me seeing like, huh, why? It's not there. So that was great. But like, it didn't break, it didn't bend to a point where it broke. But you can feel the thing way down in the box. The box is not sturdy enough. I mean, the box itself isn't bad, although the thing that I don't like about the big Home Depot props is that the handles on them are terrible. It actually happened there too, I think. It was why I pushed the whole thing down, because it was getting too far up. But the Home Depot handles, you can see the handles on the actual box just aren't there. There were 3 there when we got the box. 2 of them popped out and the other one broke. So we tried to lift it, and when we were carrying it back to the garage to put it away, the box just ripped. So I was like, oh, okay. So we had to use a dolly to actually transport it. But yeah. This part was kind of weird, because it tells you to hook the cord, but there is no spot, like, it doesn't tell you where to hook it. It's not descriptive enough. It doesn't show you an image, it's just like, hook the thing there. And you're like, where? So yeah. One other thing I was gonna say. What was it? Oh yeah. When he fell, one of the base poles bent. Like, badly bent. Although it weakened, so we just bent it back pretty easily. But yeah, there's the shoulder frame. I don't know if I was looking up at the clock. Not the screen, so I don't know what happened. But, yeah. This part was kind of weird. I didn't like the lower layer of clothing is kind of strange. But it's easy to put on. So that's all that matters, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of confusing. Like, oh, which side's the front? Which will kind of be clarified more later. And then it kind of just goes over that. And then the upper layer of clothing is terrible, and I hate it. It makes him look better, obviously. You don't want just, like, naked metal pole arms sticking out. But there's something about it. Also, this thing is also kind of weird. They all have it. Werewolf has it. I think Cackles is the only one that doesn't out of the big guys. You need to have it, basically. They're gonna break without it. Werewolf, I didn't struggle with this one at all. I had no problems. But Werewolf, we didn't put it on because we had him up for as he broke an arm, so we just had him off. When we put the tether on his back, it pushed him upright a significant amount. So, the fact that Cackles doesn't have it is a concern, because that little tiny metal rope holds so much support. It's an absurd amount of support. You wouldn't think that it actually does as much as it really does, but it's important. I'd say that's the most important support on this guy, because it just keeps him back. Because, I mean, especially with how I had Werewolf, he was leaning forward kind of in our yard, so having him held back a little bit was nice. And also, he's going to be up year-round, which hopefully that's not going to, like, snap or anything, because if that snaps, we're screwed. Because I can't give him this one because of the height difference. There's this big old head. Head looks great. I love the face mold on this guy. The lights are sick, too. I'll have a couple of pictures at the end. And this, you can see it there, too. You can see how much that one arm weighed him down, and I was like, oh, boy. But I didn't have any room to scoot him down because it was basically... He literally takes up the entirety of our deck. It's insane. And then here's his big old hands. And yeah, so I ended up doing the rest of it with that. So here are some cool pictures that I took in the night of him. He looks amazing. I absolutely love him. Definitely recommend him if he returns next year. And yeah, that being said, thank you guys if you guys did enjoy this video. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.